I found out about the fling not from my partner's mouth, but from someone we both knew. The worst part? The fling wasn't just a stranger on holiday. It was someone from our social circle, someone I had once trusted. I didn't hear it from Maya. I didn't even hear it from Daniel. I heard it from Clara, the one friend in our circle who rarely spoke but always watched. She said it almost by accident, like she thought I already knew. Well, when Maya and Daniel hooked up on that holiday, she trailed off, her voice fading the moment she saw my face. The world tilted in that instant. My chest tightened, like my ribs were trying to keep my heart from breaking out. A holiday fling? With Daniel? My mind reeled. It wasn't just the act. It was who. Daniel wasn't some stranger. He wasn't a random mistake across the sea. He was in our living rooms, at our dinners, in our laughter-filled nights. He was part of us. I froze, unsure what to say. Clara's eyes widened with regret. She whispered, "You didn't know, did you?" I couldn't answer. My silence told her everything. The room suddenly felt heavy, the kind of heavy that sinks into your bones. I excused myself quickly, but inside, questions screamed. Why Daniel? How long? Did everyone else know before me? On the walk home, England's cool evening air brushed my face, but I felt nothing. I replayed the moment over and over. Maya had kissed me goodbye before that trip. She said she'd miss me. She said we'd FaceTime every night, and yet she chose him. At home, I stared at my phone. Maya's messages from the holiday were still there, full of smiley faces and sweet words, fake words now. My stomach churned. Should I confront her right away? Or should I wait, gather more proof, and corner her with undeniable facts? I didn't know which would hurt more, hearing her lies again, or forcing her to tell the truth. I sat in silence until the night turned into morning. The clock ticked too loudly. The shadows on the walls felt like they were watching me. I thought of Daniel's smirk, the way he always leaned in too close when talking to Maya. I had noticed it before, brushed it off as nothing. Now it burned in my memory like a warning I had ignored. By sunrise, I wasn't the same person anymore. Yesterday, I was someone who trusted my partner. Today, I was someone who doubted everything. The worst part was knowing this wasn't the end. This was just the beginning of a truth I didn't want, but couldn't escape. The first red flag came before the holiday even began, but I didn't see it then. Maya had smiled when packing, but there was a strange excitement in her eyes. Not the usual excitement of a trip. It was sharper, like she was running toward something, not just away for fun. She hugged me before leaving. "I'll miss you," she said, but her hug was quick, distracted. I told myself she was just busy, stressed about the trip. But later, when I replayed that moment, I realized her goodbye wasn't heavy enough. It wasn't the goodbye of someone leaving their partner behind. It was the goodbye of someone already leaning into a secret. During the trip, she sent me photos of beaches, pubs, and nights out with friends. She messaged me sweet lines. "Wish you were here. It's so beautiful thinking of you." I believed them all. I even saved the photos, thinking we would laugh at them together when she got back. But there were gaps. Hours she didn't reply. Nights when she claimed she was too tired to talk. I brushed it off because I trusted her. I didn't imagine those empty hours were filled with Daniel's voice, Daniel's hands. I remember one call. She was outside somewhere, wind blowing against her mic. I asked, "Where are you?" She laughed too quickly and said, "Just by the water, with everyone." But I swear I heard Daniel's voice in the background, close, like he was standing right beside her. Now, in the present, those moments hit me like stones. The lies weren't loud, they were soft, hidden inside ordinary words. And I never caught them. That was the most painful part. The thing that made it worse was knowing Daniel wasn't just anyone. He was part of us. Our social circle wasn't huge. It was me, Maya, Sophie, Ethan, Clara, and Daniel. We had spent years building memories together. Birthdays in small pubs, summer barbecues in the garden, football matches on TV, and quiet nights playing board games. Daniel had been in my kitchen, drinking my beer, laughing with us. He wasn't a stranger Maya met at a bar. He was my friend too, or at least I thought he was. That's what made the betrayal cut deeper. Every time I remembered those nights, I saw them differently now. Every laugh, every smile, every moment we all shared had a shadow hiding behind it. And I wondered, was everyone else in the group hiding something too? Daniel had always been the type of guy people warned you about, but nobody ever took seriously. He was charming, funny, and easy to like, but there was something slippery about him. He flirted with everyone, even when they were taken. Most people laughed it off, calling him harmless, the guy who pushed boundaries but never crossed them. I used to laugh too. I thought he was the kind of friend who made bold jokes, not the kind who would actually follow through. But now, looking back, I realized all the little things weren't jokes. They were signs. The way he leaned too close to Maya when we talked. The way his compliments always landed just a little too deep. And the worst part, I had ignored it all because I trusted both of them. When Maya came back from the holiday, something about her felt different. She hugged me at the airport, but it was quick, almost polite, like she was greeting a friend instead of a partner. On the ride home, she told me stories about the trip, how beautiful the coast was, how much fun everyone had, how late the nights went. She laughed, but it felt forced, like she was performing. Her phone kept buzzing, and each time she flipped it face down, saying it was just the group chat. At the time, I believed her. I told myself she was just tired from the trip, still half lost in that holiday mood. But in hindsight, it wasn't tiredness. It was guilt, sitting heavy in her chest, slipping through every fake smile she gave me. It didn't take long before whispers started making their way back to me. Sophie was the first to hint at something. She pulled me aside after a night out at the pub and asked, "Is everything okay with you and Maya?" Her tone wasn't casual. It was careful, heavy. I brushed it off, saying Maya was just tired from the trip. But Sophie's eyes told me she didn't believe it. Later that week, Ethan made a joke about holiday romances while we were all at dinner. Everyone laughed except me, and I noticed Clara glance quickly at Maya before looking away. The laughter in the room felt different then, like I was the only one not in on the truth. That was when the whispers became louder than any words spoken out loud. When I finally asked Maya about the strange energy around us, she laughed it off. "You're overthinking again," she said, brushing my hand like it was nothing. She told me I was just being paranoid, that everyone was teasing because that's what friends did. Her smile was quick, sharp, almost rehearsed. "I'd never do that to you," she added, looking me right in the eye. For a moment, I wanted to believe her. I wanted her words to erase the unease sitting in my chest. But the more she denied, the more it felt like she was working too hard to convince me. I didn't hear comfort in her voice. I heard defense, and that was worse than silence. I couldn't hold it in any longer. One night, after another group hangout where Daniel kept smirking like he owned some secret, I snapped. When we got home, I asked Maya straight out, "Did something happen between you and Daniel on that trip?" The words hung in the air, heavy and sharp. She froze, her back half turned to me, and for a moment, the silence felt louder than any answer. Then she spun around, anger in her eyes. "Why would you even ask me that? Do you not trust me at all?" she shouted, but her voice cracked at the end. My stomach turned. People who were innocent didn't get defensive like that. They got hurt. They got upset, but they didn't sound like someone caught in a corner. That was when I knew there was something more, even if she wouldn't admit it yet. The next morning, Maya came to me with a softer tone. She sat on the edge of the bed, eyes down, and whispered, "Okay, something did happen, but it wasn't what you think." My chest tightened as I waited for her to finish. She said Daniel kissed her, just once, and that she pushed him away immediately. "I didn't want it, Alex. It meant nothing," she pleaded, reaching for my hand. But the words felt rehearsed, like she had practiced them in her head all night. If it really was nothing, why hadn't she told me the second she came back? Why lie for so long? Her half-truths hurt more than silence, because they dangled just enough honesty to make me doubt myself, but not enough to make me believe her. Clara was never the loud one in our circle, but when she finally spoke, it cut deeper than anything Maya had said. We were leaving a cafe one afternoon when she pulled me aside. Her voice was low, careful. "Alex, I think you should know the truth. It wasn't just a kiss." My stomach dropped before she even finished. Clara explained that during the holiday, she had walked in on Maya and Daniel slipping out of a bar together, hands locked. Later that same night, she saw them alone on the beach, close, too close. Clara had kept it to herself, thinking it wasn't her place to say, but the guilt was written all over her face as she spoke. I didn't even hear the rest of her words. My mind had already cracked wide open. Maya's kiss story wasn't just a half-truth. It was a full lie. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. The next time we were all together, I cornered Daniel. He didn't flinch when I asked. He smirked. "Look, man, it wasn't that deep," he said, leaning back like this was some joke. He admitted they'd kissed more than once, that things had gotten heated, but claimed Maya was the one who kept going back. My fists clenched so tight, I thought I'd break skin. Daniel spoke like he was proud, like betraying me was some badge of honor. When I told him Maya had said it was only a single kiss, he shrugged. "Guess she didn't tell you everything then." His casual tone made my blood boil. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the arrogance, the way he acted like I should just swallow it and move on. After Daniel's smug confession, the group was never the same. Sophie was furious on my behalf. She cut Daniel off instantly, refusing to even sit near him. Ethan, on the other hand, tried to smooth things over, saying, "We shouldn't let one mistake ruin years of friendship." His words made me sick. He spoke like this was just a small fight, not a betrayal that tore everything apart. Clara avoided eye contact whenever Maya was around, guilt written all over her face for not speaking sooner. Every gathering became a battlefield without words. People chose sides without saying it out loud. I could feel the split every time we sat together. The laughter was forced, the silences were heavy, and the air was sharp with tension. What used to feel like a family now felt like a war zone. The breaking point came at a friend's birthday party. The pub was loud, crowded, and full of people outside our circle, but the tension between us couldn't be hidden anymore. Daniel cracked another one of his smug jokes, something about holiday fun, and Sophie snapped, "You're disgusting," she shouted across the table, her voice cutting through the noise of the room. Heads turned, conversations stopped, and suddenly everyone was staring. Maya tried to calm Sophie, saying, "It's not what you think," but her voice shook. Ethan raised his hands, begging us to keep it down. But it was too late. The damage was public. People we barely knew were whispering, eyes darting between us. For the first time, the betrayal wasn't just ours to carry. It was out in the open for everyone to see. After the chaos of that night, I went home and sat in the dark. The noise of the pub still echoed in my ears. Sophie's shout, Daniel's laugh, Maya's weak denial. But the silence of my flat was worse. I looked at the photos on the walls, the ones of me and Maya smiling at parties, holding each other at Christmas, standing by the coast on our own trips. Every image felt poisoned now. I stared at them until my chest ached, wondering how many of those smiles had been real. I couldn't cry, not yet. It was like my body was frozen, too numb to release the pain. But inside, my thoughts twisted into questions I didn't want to face. If she could betray me once, what else was she capable of? And how long had I been living beside a stranger? I told myself I wouldn't spy, but one night I couldn't help it. Maya said she was meeting Clara for coffee, but something in her tone felt wrong. I followed, keeping my distance, my heart pounding like I was running a race. And then I saw it, Maya and Daniel, standing outside a cafe, not arguing, not avoiding each other, but talking quietly, too close, like there was still something between them. When Daniel reached out and touched her arm, I felt the last thread inside me snap. It wasn't just the holiday anymore. It wasn't just a mistake. Whatever was between them hadn't ended. My chest burned with rage and heartbreak, and for the first time, I realized I wasn't just fighting lies. I was losing her, piece by piece, right in front of me. The next day, I told Sophie everything. The holiday fling, the lies, the scene outside the cafe. She listened without interrupting, her jaw tight, eyes burning with anger that wasn't even for her to carry. When I finished, she leaned forward and said, "Alex, you can't keep letting this drag you down. She made her choice. Now you need to make yours." Her voice was steady, but sharp. Sophie had always been protective of me, and now she was done watching me crumble. "You deserve better than someone who lies to your face," she added, her hand gripping mine like an anchor. For the first time, I let the thought sink in. Maybe this wasn't about saving Maya anymore. Maybe it was about saving myself. Ethan called me a few days later, asking to meet. He always hated conflict, and I could tell he was trying to play the peacemaker again. Over pints at the pub, he leaned in and said, "Look, Alex, I know you're hurt, but can't we try to move past this? Maya made a mistake. Daniel's an idiot, but do we really want to break the group apart?" His words made my skin crawl. He spoke like my pain was just some inconvenience to the friendship circle, like betrayal was something you could just sweep under the rug. I stared at him, feeling the weight of his easy tone pressing against the storm inside me. Ethan, I said slowly, it's not just a mistake. It's my life, my relationship, my trust. He went quiet then, finally realizing maybe this wasn't something a joke or a drink could fix. When I confronted Maya again, she changed her story. This time, she admitted it wasn't just a kiss, but swore it didn't go further. Yes, I spent time with him, but nothing happened beyond that, she insisted, her voice shaking like she was trying to convince herself as much as me. I stared at her, remembering Clara's confession, remembering what Daniel had bragged about, remembering what I had seen with my own eyes outside that cafe. Every version of her story shifted like sand under my feet. How many lies had I swallowed already? And how many more would she feed me if I let her? My trust wasn't broken anymore. It was shattered, scattered into pieces so small I couldn't see how they'd ever fit back together again. The truth didn't come from Maya or Daniel. It came from Clara again. She couldn't stand watching me drown in half-stories and twisted words. One evening, she showed up at my flat, her hands trembling as she spoke. Alex, I can't keep quiet anymore. It wasn't just kissing. It wasn't just sneaking off. They slept together, more than once. The words hit harder than a punch. My chest felt hollow, my ears rang, and for a moment I thought I might collapse, right there in front of her. Clara kept talking, saying she had seen them leave together multiple nights, that people in the group had started whispering about it, even during the trip. I barely heard her. All I could hear was Maya's voice in my head, denying, twisting, lying again and again. The truth was finally whole, and it broke me completely. That night, I sat on the floor of my flat, the truth crashing over me like a tide I couldn't fight. The details ran through my head on repeat. Maya's lies, Daniel's smirk, Clara's quiet confession. I pressed my hands into my face, but nothing stopped the images from coming. Maya laughing with him, Maya touching him, Maya choosing him when she already had me. It wasn't just the act that broke me. It was every lie she wrapped around it, every time she looked me in the eye and denied it. I thought love was enough to protect us, but love couldn't survive when trust was buried in ashes. I finally let myself cry, the sound raw, ugly, and alone. The betrayal wasn't just a wound anymore. It was a scar being carved into me, one I knew I'd carry forever. I couldn't stop replaying our history, frame by frame, like an old film stuck on loop. The first time Maya and I met at a university party, her laugh pulled me across the room. The road trips along the English coast, hands locked on the steering wheel and the gear shift. The rainy Sundays spent under blankets, binge-watching shows, while the world outside blurred into gray. Every memory used to feel like a treasure. Now they felt poisoned. I questioned everything. Was she already drifting back then? Were the smiles real, or rehearsed like the ones she gave me after the holiday? The past didn't comfort me anymore. It mocked me. Every good moment became a knife, reminding me of what I thought we were and what we actually weren't. Trust is invisible until it's gone. I used to believe Maya without question. When she said she was working late, when she said her phone died, when she smiled and told me I was the only one. Now every word she had ever spoken felt like glass in my hands, sharp and dangerous. I couldn't picture her without also picturing him. Even if she begged, even if she cried, even if she swore she would never do it again, the trust was already broken. And once it shattered, it wasn't something you could glue back together. I realized then that I wasn't just losing Maya. I was losing the version of myself that believed in her. Out of nowhere, Daniel texted me, "We need to talk." Just us. My chest tightened when I saw his name. For days I ignored it, but he didn't stop. He sent messages late at night, asking to explain, asking to clear the air. Finally, against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him at a small pub outside town. He showed up in a leather jacket, casual as ever, like we were mates catching up. But when he sat down, his smile was gone. "Alex, I didn't mean for it to go this far," he muttered, staring at his pint instead of me. My hands shook under the table, anger bubbling hot. He wanted forgiveness, but he wasn't sorry. He was only sorry he'd been caught. The night after meeting Daniel, Maya showed up at my flat uninvited. Her face was pale, eyes were swollen from crying. She pushed past me into the room before I could stop her. "Alex, please don't end this. I made a mistake, but it doesn't mean I don't love you," she sobbed, reaching for my hand. I pulled back, the touch burning. She kept talking, words spilling out like water from a broken tap. Promises. Apologies. Please. She swore she'd cut Daniel off, swore she'd do anything to fix us, but I'd heard too many versions already. Every new promise felt like another lie waiting to happen. For the first time, I noticed something I'd never seen in her before. Not love, not even guilt, just fear of losing control. As Maya cried in front of me, I felt something shift inside. Weeks ago, I would have clung to her words, desperate to believe we could fix what was broken. But now, I felt strangely calm. Her tears didn't move me anymore. They felt like a performance I'd already seen too many times. "Maya," I said quietly, "this isn't about what you want anymore. It's about what I can't live with." She froze, her mouth half open, her eyes wide with panic. For once, the power wasn't in her hands. It was mine. And in that moment, I knew the truth. I couldn't stay. No matter how much I had loved her, no matter how much history we shared, I couldn't keep living inside a lie. When I told Maya it was over, she broke. Her sobs shook the walls, and she begged me to reconsider, dropping to her knees like she could anchor me there. But I didn't move. "You chose him, Maya, over and over, and you lied." "I can't unsee that," I said, my voice flat but steady. She left that night, slamming the door so hard it rattled the frame. The silence afterward was deafening, but also strangely clean, like the air after a storm. Word spread quickly through our circle. Some friends reached out with support, others pulled away, too uncomfortable to pick sides. Ethan tried once more to calm things, but even he couldn't glue the group back together. The fracture was permanent. The days after Maya left felt empty at first. The silence in the flat was heavy, every corner still carrying her shadow. But slowly, I began to fill the space with my own rhythm. I cleaned out drawers, boxed up her things, and even took down the photos I once thought I'd keep forever. Each step hurt, but each one also gave me back a little piece of myself. Sophie checked in often, dragging me out for walks through the park or coffee in town, reminding me I wasn't alone. It wasn't healing overnight. It was slow, clumsy, and uneven. But with every sunrise, the pain dulled just a little more, and I started to see a version of life that didn't have Maya in it. And for the first time, that idea didn't terrify me. With Maya gone, I had to figure out who I was without her. At first, the nights were the hardest, but then I started filling them with things I used to love before us. I picked up my guitar again, strummed clumsy chords until they sounded like music. I joined Ethan for football on Sundays, even though things between us were tense, because I needed movement, noise, something alive. I even planned a solo trip to the Lake District. Just me, the hills, and the silence. Each small step felt like reclaiming ground I had given away. For years, my life had revolved around her, but now I was drawing new lines. I wasn't just healing. I was rediscovering the parts of me I had left behind. The fallout didn't just end with me and Maya. It spread through the whole circle. Nights out felt different, smaller, quieter. Some friends kept their distance, afraid of being caught between me and her. Others whispered that Daniel and Maya were still seeing each other, though no one said it to my face. Ethan tried to organize a get-together, but half the group didn't show. Sitting at that pub table with empty chairs, I realized the truth. The circle we once had was gone. Betrayal hadn't just broken my relationship, it had broken the friendships wrapped around it. Maybe some wounds were too deep, not just for me, but for all of us. Months later, the storm had passed. The pain was still there, but softer, like an old scar that no longer bled. I didn't hate Maya anymore. I just didn't love her either. When I saw her once on the street, we passed without a word, two strangers carrying different versions of the same history. I realized then that closure isn't something you get from the person who hurt you. It's something you give yourself. Standing on a hill in the Lake District, wind cold against my face, I breathed in the wide silence and felt free. I had lost love, trust, and even a circle of friends, but I had found something else, myself, and that was enough to start again.